Why are you doing this to me?
You asked the question.
You
Garvia.
asked the question,
You
and now
asked
I'm
me
on
the
camera
question.
being all like teary-eyed,
You asked the
thinking about
question.
your inner child that you're honoring, and you're not honoring my eye makeup. Dbiyoung, Anitafrika is celebrating a major milestone. Their Sankofa Trilogy is in its 20th year, and ahead of the anniversary stagings of these 3 plays, Dbi is doing a little experiment. The Sankofa Trilogy is usually solo performances done by Dbi, but now the plays are being turned into multi-cast productions. Blood Clot, Benu, and Word Sound Power. They make up the trilogy, and it's about 3 generations of Jamaican women from their experiences of growing up to motherhood and the power of family ties. Dbi is the playwright and director of Sankofa Trilogy. What a joy to have Dbi with me here today to talk about it. Congratulations, 20 years. Like, that is a milestone. That's 2 decades.
That's 2 decades.
You know, you played each of these characters. They're written as solo performances.
Yeah.
Yes. Just you on the stage containing multitudes, right? So now in this reimagining,
Yeah.
you're looking at this with a cast playing these characters.
Yeah.
What do you expect from these new stages? Like, it must be kind of blowing your mind to think about other people embodying these characters that you've been carrying in you for 20 years.
To see them embody the characters is mind-blowing. So we are currently in rehearsals.
Yes.
And there are 8 practitioners on stage, and these practitioners are phenomenal. First of all, they're incredible storytellers, and they're so passionate about their work, and they're so passionate about ensemble work as well. I'm sitting in the room, and I feel like I'm 5 years old because the theater that I grew up watching in Jamaica, pantomime at Ward Theater and Little Theater and at Jamaica School of Drama, was these Black bodies on stage moving, Black bodies on stage chanting, Black bodies on stage feeling joy. And when I see these practitioners, it takes me right back home, and it's everything that I've always dreamt of being a part of. And so that's the first thing. They're incredible. And now in this version of it, what I'm calling a Panto dub theater piece, Panto from Jamaican pantomime. Pantomime in Jamaica is a meeting place of African oral storytelling traditions and Black performance forms with British pantomime.
Right.
And that occurred because of colonization and the British bringing pantomime to Jamaica, and Jamaicans determining how to refashion the form to suit their needs. So this version is a meeting place of pantomime and dub theater. Dub theater is a form of theater that emerged in Jamaica. And I come from these multiple lineages. I come from Jamaica, studied at Jamaica School of Drama, and studied under the dub poets, my mother primarily. And then I also come from Audrey Zina Mandela's lineage as a practitioner who was mentored by her in Be Current and her training programs. So this version is really trying to distill all that I've learned while adding my own innovation. So I'm calling it a Panto dub theater piece. I am maintaining the integrity of the structure of the Biomth monodrama.
Sure.
I am. So when each character speaks, they really are being centered in the way that they're centered in a monodrama, except we're seeing all of them on stage. So it's strange. It's a sweetly strange experiment that I'm doing.
But this has been you. A sweetly strange experiment somehow works. You can use that as the title of your autobiography if you want to.
That's
It's a free one.
I'll take it.
So, speaking of your biography, though, there's so much of you in all of this,
Yeah.
in all of these works, these three works. And there's this balance that is struck between fiction
Yeah, absolutely.
and biography.
Absolutely.
So how did you find the right balance for you and for the audience and for, the broader idea of these works?
Yeah. I really have, as an artist, always felt that I had space to experiment with what I needed as a practitioner in relation to what the community needs from me as a storyteller. And this is how I approach my work to this day. So with Blood, the first piece, I feel like that was my first experiment with what I'm calling biomyth monodrama. Biomyth, looking at the biographical meeting the mythologized,
Yeah.
and monodrama, really refashioning our approach to solo performance. Within Western traditions, solo performance can be very autobiographical. I didn't necessarily want to go the direction of autobiographical. And I wanted to bring in this athleticism that African storytelling forms and therefore Jamaican storytelling forms are known for, are celebrated for, in that the griot, the storyteller, is physically embodies the story, musically embodies the story, vocally embodies the story. There is a holistic approach to storytelling that is rooted in African storytelling forms. I really wanted to honor that. So the meeting place of biography and mythology allows that for me. And I've evolved this sort of, and it's not original. When I say I've evolved, I mean I've chosen that for myself, not to mean that I've originated that.
Right.
This idea of remembering, to remember the biographical or to remember the lived experience, that's stage one. And then restoring it means then, as a practitioner, you get to look at that lived experience and then decide, what are the ways in which I want to change the dynamics of power? What are the ways in which I want the protagonists to make choices that maybe I wasn't allowed to make in that biographical experience? Or what are the things I want to give to the community? And in making those choices, I am restoring, I am refashioning, I'm moving away from the biographical and I'm moving into the mythologized. Another element that's very urgent to me that I learned, again, watching pantomime, is the use of mythology, as in myths that have existed. You know that our culture is highly metaphorical, and we believe in magic and myth as a way of understanding our consciousness, understanding our world. And so I pull on that. So I will often research old myths and then make them new myths, putting my own spin on them. The third stage is refuturing, where in presenting the work to the community, we say, I invite you to this storytelling tree, not just to witness. Witnessing is a part of it, but I want you to also contribute to the co-creation of this work. And in that way, we are honoring, again, an African storytelling tradition that says the griot serves the community serves the griot. Actually, we're in circle together, and we're co-creating. Whatever it is that you see is a co-creation. It's been years of developing and being able to name and being able to get clear on these forms of practice that I'm engaged in, which is moving me away from the biographical and into a deeper sense of biomyth.
Yeah. How early in your journey did you realize that you were to be this griot, that you were to be a storyteller?
Too early.
How early? How early is too early?
3.
At 3 years old.
Yeah. 3. My mother is a storyteller.
Right.
And so by the chance of some magical reality, I was birthed to my mother. I still think that is amazing. I think about who I
They
was
talk
birthed
about that
to.
being a choice, eh? That the baby chooses.
I will go with that narrative.
Yes.
I will, because my mother had me so early, and in her youth, she had the wherewithal to know that she wanted to end certain generational curses. One of the generational curses from colonization is this idea of like a physical punishment for children, right? And so even though I grew up in Jamaica, my mother actually refused to physically discipline me. That's a huge deal in the 1970s.
That's a huge
Understand?
deal
That's
in
not
Jamaica in the 1970s.
huge, okay?
It's like going against it's like, spare the rod, you spoil the child.
Which is what I heard growing up from
Right.
everyone else in the family. But I do know that had a psychological impact on me, because she would talk to me about that. Because of course she would be reprimanded by the elders in her family, because she was also so young. And she would talk to me about why she made that choice and why she kept returning to that choice. And she herself was a storyteller who, because she was moving amongst these dub poets who believed in revolutionary change, and she was moving amongst these Rastafarians as well who believed in co-creating new languages out of English and out of the meeting place of English and West African languages that would move us away from shame around blackness, shame around Africanness, shame around being woman. All of these practices of liberty, freedom, emancipation were being modeled for me. So I didn't invent these for myself in my career. No, I actually had a blueprint. My mother was the blueprint, and the early dub poets were the blueprint. Her Rastafarian community was the blueprint, because there was already a tradition of revolutionary change that I was born into. And so 3 is early, but 3 is my reality, because I came into a space that was already formulated.
It was already created.
It was
right.
already there.
It was
It
there
was
for
already
you.
there. And
Yeah.
she nurtured me. She took me to the library every Saturday. Every Saturday. My mother taught me how to read when I was 2. She gave me a lot of autonomy, so much autonomy. And all of this is happening while she's studying theater. So she also brought me to rehearsals, or while she was in the group of Poets in Unity, the first dub poetry group in Jamaica. She would bring me, and everybody would have me on their waistline as a child. So the environment was there for me to be nurtured. And my mother provided a mirror of possibilities for me. And then I had a whole childhood where she was like, go to dance school, go to theater school, go to visual art school.
Yeah.
And she nurtured me.
Yeah.
She nurtured me.
It's like you didn't have a choice.
Basically, I was socially conditioned to do what I'm doing
what
now.
you're doing right now. There was no choices here. I have to look back at seeing blood probably
Yeah.
15, 20 years
Yeah.
ago myself.
Yeah.
And being so taken by it, because I was thinking of you coming here at 15,
Yeah.
which is such a formative time
Yeah.
for a young woman
Yeah.
to show up
It was
on the
vulnerable.
shores of a very, a place where you're struggling to be understood.
Yeah. And it exactly was that.
And I think of my own sister went through the same thing. She was here at around the same age, came to Canada from Jamaica, and it was a struggle. I
Yeah.
remember it being a struggle. But at the same time, you had this fortitude to have your voice still be heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wonder about where that fortitude came from, because I
Yeah.
know it must have been hard.
It was. And again, I spend a lot of time talking about guides and femtors and mentors and weavers, because in my own life, I can remember a guide being there at very specific points where I needed to be steered in a particular direction. When I came here at 15, I experienced deep, deep self-loathing because I couldn't understand what was so strange about me. So I came from Jamaica and landed here with vibrancy and this exuberance that's just actually a part of how I know myself.
You're
It's not,
self-possessed. You've been going to dance classes. You've been, you know
I'm-
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the racism was something I'd never encountered before. I had encountered classism because I grew up working class, and I did go to a high school that was classist. And so I had a point of reference for the ostracization. But what was different and even more difficult is the cultural isolation. So whereas in Jamaica, I was surrounded by other Jamaicans who there were cultural synergies, even though I experienced classism. Here, there was not so much classism, but a real rejection and a real demonization of Jamaicanness. Because remember, this is 1993, and around that time, you know, if we look back at the newspaper articles to get a sense of the anti-Jamaican, specifically Jamaican rhetoric that was a part of the cultural narrative of Toronto and of like the Northern Turtle Island, like Jamaicans were demonized, ostracized, and there was just not a lot of love for Jamaicans. And so I came into that really not understanding how that could be, and also not having the tools to deconstruct the systemic racism. Those first 5 years here were devastating. And I remember being in Montreal, having gone to McGill University and having a very difficult time there. One of my mentors at the time, David Austin, who is a phenomenal human being and a journalist and an educator as well. He pulled me aside one day and he said, I want you to know that this gift that you have of being able to speak your language, this gift that you have of dub poetry, this gift that you have of storytelling, I want you to know that you're allowed to actuate those gifts. And he was specifically talking about the way that I had been speaking. So 5 years into being in Canada, I had this unrealistic accent, which was my attempt at covering my Jamaicanness. I had this unrealistic persona that was, again, an attempt at survival in a hostile environment. And when he pulled me aside and said that, I wept because somehow he had seen through all of that and had seen into this young person who had the gift of storytelling, who had the gift of communication, but was burying those gifts, trying to become something else that was more palatable, that was more acceptable. And David's intervention there was key for everything that happened afterwards. And that happened around 20.
Yeah.
So when I returned to Toronto, that intervention had already occurred. So I returned with an unapologetic spirit.
You worked through it. You worked and worked and worked through it to the point where even I was a little gagged to see you on the stage of Mervish doing what you do. Like, I was like, yes. It was so exciting to me to see you on that stage amongst these people, all of these people, the broad audience that is now hearing you in your language, in your story, in our language, in our
It really
story.
was healing.
A healing time, but
It
also,
really was.
why do you think that you were able to connect so broadly with these audiences that, you know, 2 Dora Awards later, this is us talking about it?
Yeah, wow.
What is that? Where, at what where were you finding the points of connection that really hit people so hard?
We have a series of experiences in our life that can soften us towards each other or harden us towards each other. Even though sometimes some folks have the perception that I am so hard, I am hard about my boundaries. I am. I am hard about my political convictions. I am. I am hard about my insistence to create space for myself and others. I am. But I think what draws people to my work on and off stage is that I am absolutely relatable. I am relatable in the sense that I believe and practice equity. And I don't practice these hierarchies of supremacy that we often come into contact with each other. And these hierarchies of supremacy are around judgment, around I'm better than you, around I know more than you, around my experiences are more sanitized than yours. I think because I create Biomth theater, audiences and communities have a sense of my lived experience, which is relatable. And when we go further than that and we're in kinship, i.e., we meet each other off the stage, they are affirmed to see that that relatability does not disappear when we meet each other. And I think over the years, that's what's been reflected back to me from folks who are like, oh, I saw you on stage and you were relatable, but I expected something different in person.
It's the same.
But actually, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same.
There's something so authentic, and that authenticity is so attractive. It is so relatable. We talked a little bit about community when we started chatting, and throughout your career, you've centered Black stories, you've centered women, queer communities. You've just done it all, and you've had a profound effect on what the Canadian theater landscape looks like. So when you reflect on all of that, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the fact that I did not abandon my inner child. Because she has guided me through every step of the journey. And every time I encounter another human being who's really struggling with their lived experience, I have a point of understanding and empathy and compassion that is immediate. Immediate. And that is what I am most proud of, to be at this stage in my life, in my career, and to know that I have honored her every step of the way.
Why are you doing this to me?
You asked a question.
You asked the question, and now I'm on camera being all like teary-eyed, thinking about your inner child that you're honoring, and you're not honoring my eye makeup, Dbi. I have to say. That's quite an answer.
And I think for those of us who are listening, who are like honoring the inner child, what do you mean by that? Sometimes, we talk and take for granted that the thing is clear, but I really want this to be clear for all of us who are listening. When I say inner child, I'm talking about that part of ourselves that could speak to a chronological child, as in experiences that you had that were invisibilizing, erasing, harmful, abandoning, degrading, shaming, these experiences that you and I have had in possibly our formative years that still feel tender and that make us feel that we're not good enough, even as we find ourselves as adults in our relationships, in our parenting, at work, in our professional environments, that we keep hearing these narratives of not good enoughness, or we keep encountering experiences that take us back into what feels like a childlike state. Or maybe we're not looking that far back enough.
Yeah.
Maybe we're looking at an experience that's occurred as an adult that was humiliating and erasing and invisibilizing. Or maybe even we're talking about existing in a systemic structure that is ongoingly humiliating and erasing. So whatever it is that is on the inside part of you that feels that tenderness and that vulnerability, when I talk about honoring my inner child, I'm talking about making space to hold that part of you.
Yes.
With care and tenderness and integrity and the reminder to not abandon yourself. That's what I mean.
Yes. I feel you. I hear you. And I congratulate you for the work that you've done thus far. Here's to another 20 years. Let's do this again 20 years from now. I would enjoy that.
No problem.
All right.
But just need to be alive.
Me too. Both of us. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.